Hey guys, Brooklyn here again. I'm going to talk about this book for this book chat, Three Sisters, Three Queens by Philippa Gregory. This is her newest book. It came out last year. She's actually one of my all-time favourite authors. She writes historical fiction and she extensively researches her books. They are amazingly researched. She puts her sources at the back of the book, and it's just amazing, and I just really admire the depth that she goes into when she's writing these novels. And now she's a proper historian, and she actually was a historian long before she actually started writing. I have read more than half of her books, and this is actually one of my favourites. It tells the story, from what you can see of the title. It's a bit of a giveaway, but Three Sisters, Three Queens is about Mary and Margaret Tudor, daughters of Henry Tudor and Elizabeth of York, and also Catherine of Aragon, who comes to England at a young age to marry Arthur Tudor, the heir, of course, to Henry. This book itself is all the way through told from the perspective of the eldest sister, Margaret. Now, at first, I was sort of annoyed with Margaret because the way she sort of looked down upon Mary and thought her little sister was just silly and a child, which to be fair she was, but still Margaret sort of had this complex about her that, you know, made her feel like she was superior to both Mary and Catherine. At first she was jealous, I think, that Catherine had come. She felt like she had taken away Arthur by getting married to him, because Catherine, coming from Spain, as I said, to become Queen of England, marrying Arthur. But Margaret, of course, knew from a young age that she would become Queen of Scotland because she was betrothed to Scotland's king. Mary herself, just to say, she grows to become Queen of France. But lots of things happen with Mary's character, but I'll mainly talk about Margaret because Margaret is our narrator and we see things through her eyes. At first, she really doesn't like Henry, her other brother, who of course grows to be Henry VIII after Arthur Tudor dies. He catches the sweating sickness, as it was called, and falls victim to that only after a couple of days of getting married, which is very sad. And of course, again, Margaret blames Catherine for that because Margaret was heavily attached to Arthur. You know, she was looking forward to seeing her great brother reign upon England and have this golden age which their father Henry always dreamed of. So after Arthur's death, we have a very sort of bitter and hostile Margaret, forever judging Catherine and thinking Catherine sort of is conspiring and really wants to marry Henry VII. Gross, not true, by the way. Although, I haven't actually read that as being factual. Again, this is historical fiction, but it wouldn't surprise me that maybe Henry Tudor, would have wanted to marry this young Spanish bride, but again, I doubt it. Henry Tudor actually never did marry after his wife died. For me, I think Henry Tudor and Elizabeth of York were one of the happier couples in history, but I digress, and perhaps I'll save that story of Henry Tudor and Elizabeth of York for another book talk when I read a biography on Elizabeth of York, which I'm going to do this year sometime. Anyway, so after Arthur dies, as I was saying, we have a bitter Margaret who almost rejoices in the fact that Catherine is impoverished because, her parents aren't sending over dowries and stuff. But it's announced soon after that Catherine of Aragon is now betrothed to the younger brother Henry, so Margaret is again annoyed because, so after all, Catherine will be Queen of England. Not happy about that. Meantime, there's been lots of betrayal and destruction of trust and that sort of thing, because Margaret has been married, she's had some stillborns, and then she has a healthy son, but then it's revealed that her beloved husband is killed, and perhaps Catherine knew about this, and perhaps she she didn't stop it from happening. Not that I think that she could have, but there you go. There's quite a bit of contradictive narration in this, I feel, because you know, one time you'll have Margaret saying, oh, I don't care that, you know, these bad things are happening to Catherine. Of course, you should know Catherine had probably about half a dozen or more stillborn sons to Henry VIII, but one surviving daughter. Margaret didn't really, I think with the first one she felt sorry for her, but that losing the first one rather, she felt sorry for her, but then nope. She was sick of feeling sympathy, I think. And then even with Mary, Margaret constantly thought Mary was just a silly little sister. Her ideals were stupid. She, you know, even though Margaret grew to love her husband, at first she didn't actually love him, so she thought the idea of Mary wanting to marry the king's ally, Charles Brandon, for love was stupid, because, you know, back in these days, women didn't marry for love. You know, they married for most part, to elevate their family in court status. So yes, that all happened, but I loved this book so much. The ending was really haunting, and I would have never expected that to happen. Why was the ending so haunting, you ask? Because it was told, like the last page and a bit were actually from a letter. Margaret finds out that her own sister is ill, and realizes that it's likely, you know, she may not have a chance to say goodbye to her. And I'm trying to be less spoilery here, but essentially, and I am still wondering, even though I'm an only child, but still, I wonder, you know, I know siblings feud and stuff in real life and things, but, you know, what is being a sister if, you know, you can't be there for one another, because that is the constant theme throughout this. There are times in this book when Mary, Margaret and Catherine, when the sisters are joined in grief, as I was saying, such as, you know, deaths of loved ones, whether it be husbands or children, but throughout there is just so much constant sort of bitter feelings from Margaret's part, and as the reader we are engaged, you know, to connect with Margaret, because, you know, she's our sort of like portal to the story. We see things as she does, so I was inclined to feel as she did, as much as I was thinking, oh, now that's a bit petty, but nonetheless it was amazing. And so the book, once I finished with it, you know, still led me to think, you know, where like Mary, Margaret, Catherine are three sisters, three queens, but is the crown worth, you know, losing these bonds and that sort of thing? And I've always felt like Philippa Gregory is an author that will, you know, leave you with many questions, and the way she writes, I feel like, is just amazing. You know, you feel like you're in the Tudor court and seeing all these, and it's just wicked that, you know, Philippa Gregory has, you know, taken these figures from history and just written so many amazing books about them. This is the first one that I've actually done a book talk about, but it definitely won't be the last, and I actually cannot wait to read another Philippa Gregory book. Okay guys, thank you for watching.